Okay, it's the rundown. What is it? April
24th.
24th. It is brought to you by the Barstool Sportsbook. It says, please show the app on your phone, talk about your favorite features in the book, and bets you have for 45 seconds. I'm not going to do that. The Barstool Sportsbook is now offering a $1,000 bonus for new players. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So download, create an account today. Use code RUNDOWN to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Be sure to use code RUNDOWN to unlock your $1,000 bonus. Terms apply. Must be 21 years old. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I am curious, like, who writes that promo, like, telling us we got to show it for 45 seconds?
I don't know.
Westy?
I am looking right now.
We got some good boosts today.
LeBron, Jimmy Butler, and John Morant to combine for 100 points plus 460. I kind of like that. It's a lot of points, though.
3-team parlay yesterday. Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins plus 700. It's not bad for those who get in on that. Plus 700 for those who can get in on it. So getting into it, we will start NBA playoffs. Bunch going on. Nothing over. There's a bunch going on. I don't know if there's anything overly surprising going on. You got Dylan Brooks, obviously, versus LeBron, talking shit. That series back and forth. Dylan Brooks got ejected for a nut shot that I didn't think he really should have been ejected for. LeBron, the video I just watched of him being like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I got too much for him. So that series is certainly interesting. The Golden State series is interesting. Memphis looked like they maybe had a shot to steal a game. And then the Knicks. It's more interesting. I'm not a Knicks guy, but obviously more interesting, I think, when the Knicks are involved. They throw the parties every time after they win. So those, I'd say, are the... Oh, and I guess a fairly big game in the East tonight with the Bucks needing to really win at Miami. Giannis going to be back. I actually was at the Bruins game last night, and we got put into like a suite, and Pat Connaughton was there. He's a local guy, so I know him. That he was very confident. He couldn't have been more confident about the Bucks' chances. Did I miss anything of what's going on that's interesting right now?
No, I mean, I guess there's a couple big stories. The Knicks are, I went to game 3. It was awesome. I got cut out of...
What do you do when you do that, Dan?
What do you mean?
Like, what? Like, do you just sit? Did you bet the game?
Oh, I put a bomb on the Knicks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Yeah. How do you... You're right. It's a cheering.
Yeah, no. If I'm going to a game, it's usually either bet the over or bet the home team big and then just root your dick off for the home team. So I put a responsibly very large wager on the Knicks on Friday night. I got cut out of the side, the side talk, the Bing Bong guys.
Yeah.
I got cut out of the video. I was on it. So
that's probably because they want it to seem authentic.
And also I said, I don't give a fuck about the Knicks. But I hushed the whole crowd and I was like, I don't give a fuck about the Knicks, but I just hit my nuclear warhead whale play of the year. And then everyone went crazy. But yeah, they cut me out, but it was an awesome environment. Like the Knicks, when they're good, and the MSG, like it was fun to be at.
So Dylan Brooks, right? Dylan Brooks got the whole thing. He hit LeBron in the dick and everything. This is the second dick hit we've had that resulted in
that. I only saw the highlight. That didn't look overly bad to me, unless I.
So James Harden wasn't bad either. He got ejected a couple of days last week, and now Dylan Brooks got ejected. Everything's about LeBron. Everything's about Dylan Brooks. Is Dylan Brooks running cover for John Morant because John Morant got in all that shit this year?
No. Because he's been like that his whole life. I feel like he's taking
on the heel version of himself so he can get in the way of John Morant.
No, Dylan Brooks has always had a little bit of the heel.
He's always been that.
And Dylan Brooks is a fraud. I cannot stand what he did on Sunday. So he hits LeBron in the penis on Saturday,
right?
Gets ejected, doesn't do the interview after, whatever. Sunday, he's like, I don't know why the media and all the fans have made me out to be a villain. Like, dude, you have
That's
done
Kyrie.
This.
That's why I hate Kyrie.
Yeah, like
and he hates shoes, but
but back it up. Like Draymond, at least when everyone hates him, he kind of like he almost steps his game up. Dylan Brooks, he went out, he shot 3 for 13 in 19 minutes, touched LeBron's penis, and then was like, "Why is everyone mad at me? Just fucking back it up." And still, he should have been like, LeBron, like, he didn't put 40 on me, so I still don't respect him.
Yeah, it's tough for me because I'm a LeBron hater, and actually Dylan Brooks is not a great villain in the terms of like he almost makes somehow LeBron like like sympathetic in a way.
He made me rooting for LeBron on Saturday night
that's
because it's just a hierarchy thing. Like a guy like Dylan Brooks trying to say that about LeBron. I don't like LeBron, but I'm like, fuck Dylan Brooks. LeBron should shove it down his face.
Yeah.
And then the Kings Warriors series, like Steph.
It's an all-time or first rounder already.
What?
It could be an all-time first round series. That's how good it's been already.
And Steph, I don't know if you saw Dave, but your boy Chris Webber was trending because he called the timeout. Timeouts. And then shot with like 12 seconds left on the shot clock, which was equally as dumb, and they survived. I mean, that series is so much fun.
They're in a fucking war though. Like they're in a war for the next 3 games.
Also, Harrison Barnes, that has to be the worst feeling in the world because he was waiting 6 years for that moment and then just completely clanked that 3.
Yeah, but if you were choosing the opponent in the NBA to take that shot against you, you would choose Harrison Barnes.
Right. I'm saying though, like he's been thinking about that. Like he was on the Warriors, they went and won all those titles now without him. I mean, he was on the first team, I think. But like you have that moment to basically prove them wrong and kill them, and just couldn't do it.
I am still very firmly on the Celtics being the best team in the league, and I think they can win the whole title. It's been a fairly, for me, uneventful series. I think they'll win 4-1. So there's that. Now, I gave a little heat to our own Twitter staff because I feel like they did Pete Davidson, and I'm not necessarily like a big Pete Davidson guy, but they did a clip of him pushing like an old guy who came up for a picture. If you just watch the clip that the Barstool Sports account tweeted out, you'd be like, wow, what an asshole Pete Davidson. But it's pretty readily available that there's a longer clip where this guy is like harassing him, like kept putting his arm around him, looked like he wanted to kiss him every picture. And finally, Pete Davidson pushes him. Whoever posted that should probably be suspended. I don't know if it's Bald Paul. I don't know who's doing that. But that's a really unfair clip to put at Pete Davidson knowing the longer clip is out there.
Or do you think they saw the short clip and thought that was it, or they intentionally did it?
I think they were lazy because by the time that was posted, from what I've gathered in very quick, minimal research, it was very much readily available, the longer clip.
And it took me 2 seconds to find the longer clip because
last night we actually blogged the longer clip earlier in the day.
Yeah, I went through it last night because I saw he was trending. I looked at it. I saw the video. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I was like, wait, there's got to be more to this. Then you see the longer clip. That it actually is like a perfect example of why the internet like is such bullshit.
Because he was actually being fairly good with fans.
He was being the guy put his fucking chin on his shoulder and was trying to cuddle with him.
And I mean, he was taking pictures with everybody and like doing the, all right, I am willing to mix it up with New Yorkers from there. And then he has that guy, and that's a clip. I'd love to see on our end who put that out because they did him dirty. They did him real dirty. NHL playoffs, as you can see, I was at the game. The Bruins are in Florida. Well, crazy, by the way. I've never been to a game. I've done the goalie challenge in Sunrise. For people who aren't familiar, the Panthers play 45 minutes away from Miami. I've gotten in and out of there. I got in and out of there faster than I get out of a mall. It's
in a mall, right?
No. That's Gulfstream Park, I feel like you're thinking of.
I thought the Panthers played like almost in a mall.
No. Dave, was that the first time you met Gretzky?
Yes. Now, I'm not a brag guy. I like to keep it humble. I like to, let my glove do my talking for me.
So he knew who you were?
No, he didn't know who it was. He came up and asked me for a picture.
No, that didn't happen.
Wayne Gretzky was there, came up. He's like, sorry to bother you. Do you mind if we get a picture together? Then he came up. My wife would like to meet you. I'm texting with Janet Gretzky. Me and Janet Gretzky are text buddies now.
That's pretty sick. It's across the street from a mall.
Fucking awesome. Yeah.
It was the only witness I had was Gaz, and it doesn't matter. And one other guy who, like 20 minutes later, I hadn't said a word to him. He's like, did Gretzky ask you for a picture? I was like, yeah, trust me. No one would believe it except Gaz, and Gaz, people won't believe Gaz because Gaz is a yes man. But Wayne asked me for a picture.
I believe it just because it would be the weirdest thing to lie about, especially if like Gretzky would be like, that didn't happen.
Easily verifiable, right?
Yeah. He also started a story, and he started a story. I said it to him too. He goes, I got a great story for you. I guess Bobby Orr was there. He also was like, you're getting way more pictures from Boston people than Bobby Orr. This is another little thing. But he started his story this way. I got a great story for you. Hilarious story. So I got a buddy who died in 9/11.
Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came on the broadcast, NYPD, FDNY, and they asked him about him. I didn't know the story.
Hell of a way to start a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I got a great Bobby Orr story. It was the Bobby Orr story. Was that the one he told? It was a Bobby Orr story.
He just talked about his friend Ace, who I think played for the Bruins and a bunch of other teams. Yeah.
He said, and the story was tell how tough Bobby Orr was. But
I got a friend who died in 9/11.
Starts in 9/11.
I got a great story. It's like, whoa, that just got dark fast. Like, a tough way to start it.
But, I mean, you don't forget that story.
No, you don't. You don't.
It's an imprint on your brain.
So I went. We bought tickets game time because we knew it was in Florida. And then Sean Thornton works for the Panthers. I know Sean. He's an old Bruin fighter, great guy. He had an all-time line, which I'll get that, an actual all-time line. They put us in like this booth where Gretzky was there. Kachuk's dad was there. Very funny guys, a Boston guy rooting against. Yeah, Keith. So it was a wild scene. But Sean Thornton, Bruins fans are like this. At the end of the game, there was a big brouhaha in the Bruins game. Goalies into it, everyone's fighting. And Sean Thornton looked at me and goes, these are the moments I live for because you just try to maim somebody. Like, he was dead serious. And that's what he was. He was a fighter. So anyways, yeah, I was at the game. Bruins up. The Oilers series is amazing.
Incredible.
2-2. Ice is on fire. Are you taking Mr. Ice right now? He's winning his games. The Leafs series is a great series. There's a lot of great series. I see the Chicklets guys freaking out about the officiating. They think there's too many penalties. I guess playoff hockey, they don't like that. But again, the both series, a lot of good stuff. Dan, you got nobody to root for. This is when being a sports fan's a full-time job. That's why I wore both. But you very few days off. I'm getting sales being like, are you coming to Philadelphia and Boston, Sixers, Celtics? That's on deck. There's just a lot of things. The Bruins can play the Leafs. There's a lot of things going on right now.
You have a full schedule. No, I have no one to root for, so I just put two big futures on, and I fucked myself so bad because I just, like, without even thinking about it, just picked two West Coast teams. And so
competing futures.
I have the Oilers and the Warriors, and it's just like, no, they're not competing.
I see. I got it.
Every game starts at fucking 10:30.
Yeah.
So like, I don't go to bed. And it's because I do think that, like, when your team's not in it, finding a way to get yourself invested makes it more fun. Like, I'm living and dying these games, and then I'm just not sleeping.
The 10:30, yeah, I didn't watch the end of the. I saw Ice. I was watching Ice, but that was over very early. It was 3-3, like after two periods. So he won that. Those are late games. The 10:30 late, not making up for those. I rearranged my schedule to watch because we had the best bar crawl event in Syracuse this past weekend. I wanted to be home on my couch for Davis Garcia. I was super excited for the fight. I know you watched it, Dan. Did you watch it, Brandon?
Oh, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, so it was a good fight. It was a good fight. Davis, clearly the better boxer. The punch that ended it, you get into the classic, like, anytime combat sports, where it's like, oh, I'm surprised that punch ended it, and then you get the liver punch, people coming out of the crowd. You've never hit by you can't talk, you don't know what a liver punch is. I still don't think it was the cleanest liver punch I've ever seen. Like, that's why it was so surprising. I didn't see it in real time. Overall, I think Tank Davis right now, him or the Gypsy King, those are the two, faces of boxing.
So it's very rare for a guy to live up to the hype. But Big Ev was telling me about this Davis guy the other day, and I've seen him fight before, but he was telling me sometimes he punches so fast you don't see it. Mm-hmm. And I had to watch that. I had to watch the replay 10 times before I really saw the shot. And I mean, he got him pretty good, but it's just such an odd way to end a championship fight that it felt underwhelming, but it really should be overwhelming because it was so impressive.
Yeah. So I know Ryan Garcia is very good, but Dave, you pointed it out, and it's true. The hair, and
he's a good-looking guy.
Great-looking guy. I feel like he was leaving himself open so easily.
Yeah, big time. And that's the biggest competition that he's faced. Dan, by the way, I don't know if you remember, I'm almost positive he sat directly to my right at the Katie Taylor fight. Yes. I didn't know who he was at the time. He was wearing like a tuxedo, but I literally think he was directly to my right.
Yeah, because I remember we're like, who is this guy? He's so good looking. It's like, that's Garcia. It's like, oh shit. I guess.
And by the way, credit to him from everything that I've read about it. Like, he went out of his way to make this fight, which I feel like a lot of boxers don't do. Like, he could have gone a long time without fighting somebody that good, and he chose to do it. And that is what everyone's saying. That's the issue with boxing. I was trying to think the last time you had two guys that young, both undefeated with that much hype, that actually fought each other.
Yeah, it's true. And he did do like the rehydration clause, I guess, he wasn't making excuses. And then there's also he had a mole in his camp, which came out yesterday.
What does that mean?
Like, he had someone in his camp
talking about his training
who was telling Tank Davis about his training and that he was like injured or had an injury or something.
Huh.
But when he took a knee, did y'all think he was going to get up? Like,
yes.
I thought he was going to compose himself, get up, and I've never seen a boxer just stay on the knee for 10 seconds.
Yeah, he couldn't breathe. Shots. I mean, there were some people saying he gave up. He took a pretty fucking good shot in the second round and got up. Like, he was game. Like, I don't think he was like, oh, and he wasn't, if that fight kept going, it wasn't like he was really being dominated. He was definitely losing the fights. And the impression that you got was that Davis could hurt him. No, I don't know about vice versa. And almost I tweeted right before, every time that Garcia pushed the pressure, I felt at least that's when he was most vulnerable. Like, when he got hit in the second round, like, he came out, he was muscling him, being kind of dirty, but he left himself open. And after that, the whole fight changed. So,
I think terrifying fighting a guy that can knock your lights out at any moment like that.
Yeah, they call him Mini Tyson. Yeah, I mean, I think Tank Davis would have won no matter what. The whole fight though had a weird vibe. Like, even the ref, I feel like when they got in the clinch, like, Garcia was throwing some punches while they were in the like, it just everything seemed a little off.
Yeah. What do we got? Right, this Ryan Reynolds soccer, and I see it because we talk about it. So Wrexham, whoever he bought, they just upgraded, and I'm looking. I'm like, what did they upgrade? Are they going to the Premier League? What is this? They're going to some other minor league. What? Why? What is going on here?
They are, I believe, in the 4th league, and they just got promoted to the 3rd league.
That's a big deal.
Steps.
I mean, you got to climb up.
And ultimately, the 4th to the 3rd to the 2nd to the Premier.
Premier League, which would be an all-time.
I think that's right.
But has any team ever come from that far down to the Premier League?
I think so. I mean, that's the beauty of relegation. I believe they were in the 3rd. It's also confusing because the 2nd league in England is called the Championship League, which
not the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Right. And also, like, you wouldn't think that would be the 2nd.
Yeah, my team, by the way, Tottenham, if you haven't seen Expression, they were down 5-0 before we could blink the other day. They've fallen apart.
And Arsenal, too. Arsenal's not going to
Arsenal, trust me, they have the Champions League. The Premier League is basically on the line Wednesday. Man City versus I can't believe I know this. Man City versus Arsenal. But if Man City wins, they won't take the lead, but they'll be like 2 points behind. You get 3 for a win with 2 in hand. I didn't have this on the sheet. I don't know if there's any thoughts, but huge shakeups is the number one thing that everyone's talking about. Tucker and Don Lemon gone. Weird that they did both days. You almost feel like CNN was like, oh, Tucker's going to get all the news. Let's just get rid of Lemon and slide him out the door.
Yeah, they were waiting for some cover, I guess. I don't know. It happened within like an hour of each other.
Very strange. Yeah, very strange. I texted Tucker to be like, what's the actual word? Because even if you wanted to figure out the word, there's no publication in the world that's going to give you like the real, like everybody's got their slant on it. Yeah. So it's, I'll let you know if he tells me what actually.
Well, it's crazy how both sides get so excited about things like this. Like when Tucker went out, one side got really happy, and then Don Lemon went out, the other side got really happy. It's just a weird place that the country's in. But, like, this is a gigantic day in news.
I don't get the left, because Tucker, I mean, it's not like if he wants to continue to do something, he could go puck. He could do anything and be gigantic. Don Lemon, I think, is going to go away, but who knows? We'll see.
I don't think he'll go away, but I don't
Lemon?
think he'll get to where he was. But Tucker could go write his own ticket, probably.
We were saying they should do a show together.
That would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
That would be unbelievable.
It is crazy, though, that happened within, like, hours of each other, because it was very funny to watch, like, one side celebrate and then the other side celebrate. Everyone wants it.
And then the what I'm seeing, the right, the conservatives are being like, even in a fire off, like Don Lemon got crushed because it's 90% Tucker fired, like 10% Lemon. So they're almost bragging, like even our guy like is getting more news for getting. And by the way, I say fired. We don't really know what happened because Tucker's saying he left. So
well, it just happened. So like his last show was Friday, right? He didn't have a big farewell. He didn't have anything.
Well, he
like
said
that.
he was coming back.
Okay.
He said he was coming back.
Wow. Yeah. So he's gone. And now Don Lemon, we know why he got fired, because he said that thing about women a month ago or 2 months ago, whatever it was. We have no idea with Tucker.
Well, is that
you don't remember the Don Lemon thing?
No,
I don't know if
that's
that's exactly why.
Yeah, I would have thought he would have been fired by now if that was what he got fired for.
It made it seem like they offered him less money and he didn't want to do it.
I can see that.
By the way, I just looked it up. The Wrexham was in the 5th league.
Yeah. So what do we?
So it's Premier English Football League Championship, League One, League Two, National League.
I guess it's great. Like any time you want to be in a bigger league, but they're never getting to the Premier League.
Never say never. They got money.
Yeah, it's like the Montgomery Biscuits playing in Major League Baseball.
What league are you in, Dan?
Championship League, the 2nd league.
You guys are in the 2nd league.
2nd league, yes.
In what place did you come in?
Last year we lost in the playoff. That sucked. This year I don't think we're going to be in the playoffs. So they do in the 2nd league. They do first team automatically goes up, and then the next 4 teams play in a Final Four, like elimination, which is kind of cool. Or maybe it's the first 2 teams and the next 4. So like a lot of teams get a chance.
Got it. That's all I had. Walker, you're on here. We haven't talked since you tried to quit.
Right.
And I guess we could revisit. I've seen tweets. I don't know. I'll start this off. So we had our back and forth where you tried to quit. It was probably like a 10-minute Twitter text exchange back and forth. We do the rundown last week. Yeah. It's over. And Dana, I stopped you. I'm like, hey, did you hear that Walker quit? And we had, I don't know, a 5-minute convo. For me, it wasn't part of the rundown. I wasn't anticipating it to be part of the rundown. I was just talking to you. I didn't even know we were recording.
Yeah, I was walking out the door.
Correct. So I was just telling you what happened. And then I didn't, unbeknownst to me, you guys talked about it on the Yak. I didn't know that. And so it was already cut out of the rundown, basically. And then we went back and forth. I'm like, I don't care. It wasn't really intended to be in it. It wasn't, we weren't trying to hide it. I haven't heard a lot of what's been said back and forth, but I can tell you what happened. I heard one clip that you said, Brandon, I think is about right. But here's what happened. For anybody wondering the exact chain of events. Dak Prescott was a picture at a Mississippi baseball game holding a Tequila High, Mississippi State baseball game holding a Tequila High Noon. Someone sent it to me. I tweeted something to the effect, good to see that all Mississippi State fans aren't low-life, classless scumbags, and put a picture of that. I get a text about 2 minutes later from Brandon, and I'm paraphrasing. It's something to the effect, can I still look for other jobs? I was like, yeah, knock yourself out. He writes back, can I go anywhere? I'm like, you can go anywhere except another gambling company. He writes back, so I can't go anywhere. I go, you said anywhere. I didn't say anywhere. I'm telling you where you can go.
Well, hold on. Let me just interject right there. This was a throwback to when we were having our first thing a month ago, and you said, if you don't fucking like it, you can fucking quit and get the fuck out of here. And I took that to mean I could go anywhere.
Okay, well, I didn't connect that. But what you just said, that was kind of the tone of how the second thing went in a deja vu. And I'm like, well, listen, I don't pay your bills. Penn does. This is a big boy conversation. So it's like, I don't think they're going to take kindly to you just being like, I'm going to direct competitor because we're having a fight over Mississippi State, Dak Prescott, and High Noon. Then it became, well, I just need to be treated with a basic amount of decency and self-respect.
Right.
And you got working here. I'm like, well, none of my have what?
Well, you didn't say.
You did.
Yeah, but you didn't say.
No, you did.
Right. Well, we both said the same thing, though.
You said.
We both said the same thing.
You said we got you got a bunch of working for you.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah.
And I use the word in response. I go, none of those have caused the damage that you did. So who's the That's what I said.
That's all. That's all well and good. It all boils down to this.
Well, that is. I'm just going the exact chain. And then
that's right.
And
that
then
happened.
And then the next text was, well, I just bought a house in Chicago, so I guess I'm fucked
bought it 3
anyways.
hours earlier.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, good talk then.
Listen, it boils down to, I believe I'm owed more respect than you give me in public, and you believe respect is paid in the form of the fact that I get a paycheck for this company and I get treated very well by this company. That's the disconnect. That's where we are, and that's. Am I right? Is that not what we just read?
Yes. I think you greatly, from what I've gathered, hype up how much I go out of my way to like trash you. Like, to me, I don't really talk about you that often. Like, we had the dust up on the live stream, which I obviously wasn't anticipating doing that, but it happened.
Well, let's be honest. Let's lay it out on the table, okay?
Let's lay it out.
I was still upset last Monday when it happened. It happened about 4:00. I was driving back from Mississippi, and I probably shouldn't have got upset about the Dak Prescott tweet. That was me being oversensitive. All right, that's just true. But I was still. It was about a month of residuals from the dust up on the stream where Megan asked me to grab something. I was going to grab it, and I felt like you treated me like a child, and that was something I didn't do. She asked me to grab her a drink, and I thought that in that moment you treated me like shit, and you shouldn't have.
I don't disagree with how I've handled that, because it wasn't even you grabbed it. You grabbed it, and if you go watch it, I'm like, don't touch it, and then you just kept arguing on camera.
I didn't argue. I was like,
well, you did.
I was just standing
You're
there.
doing what you're doing now. You just asked me, just don't touch it. But what you're not gonna tell is after that, I walked off camera.
Yeah.
And I said, can I talk to you off camera? And we had a conversation about it. And I still don't. It's a huge advertiser. I don't think at this point, like, you're not involved. Whatever. It is what it is. But from my perspective, you think I'm coming after you for no reason. And I'm not. It's not like I'm not going out of my way to attack you. What you did in that moment was so incredibly stupid, but it was right in front of me. You went to grab a High Noon 5 seconds after.
She asked me. She was, and plus, okay, relax. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. What the heck is?
And moving forward, yeah, do that. I haven't mentioned your name since that incident.
No, that's not true. Here's the thing. You said back when the whole thing started, and 2 days later we were texting calmly, and you said you're gonna get past this eventually. Eventually, somehow you're gonna get past this, and you keep bringing it up. How the fuck am I?
If you can't see that a Dak Prescott, of all people, holding a tequila High Noon at a Mississippi baseball game is going to be brought into a tweet bringing it up, the more you talk. Listen, what actually happened, Brandon, in the immediate aftermath? After I yelled at you, we didn't talk about you not going on stream. We didn't talk about any of it. There wasn't jokes made about. There wasn't anything because it was that serious.
Yeah.
So we let it go. It's almost good that is brought up. And when you took it so personally, it's what I said. I don't know how you didn't take that as a High Noon tweet.
Well, hold on, Dave. I didn't.
Wait, you didn't?
I didn't take the fact
No,
that
he took it as a personal attack on him.
That was a high noon
Wait
tweet.
a second. Time. Pause. Give me a 20. You're acting like you just tweeted about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott holding a high noon. There were words in there. Classless, moron, piece of shit.
But it's
a high noon tweet.
It's because you said he's drinking it willingly, and you were getting paid and said it's like, how do you not
look
see
at Dak
that?
Prescott drinking this. Do we have to say he's not a moron, classless piece of shit?
Do you know who
I
Dave
have
is?
to say that. How do you think that's such like a person? And you can say whatever you want to say about Mincy. You give it out. Even in the thing you called everybody.
I give it out to everybody. I take it from everybody too.
He does take a lot more than I'll say this.
I take it from you all the time. I remember that
Brandon
stupid
is
ass
wrong
bet
in
from a
this
year and a
whole
half ago. I
situation.
sat for like a month.
He is wrong in this whole situation. Brandon does take a lot of shit. So that part is true. Like,
But
Mincy
not,
was like,
I'm not out of my way giving Bram Walker shit.
So I got my feelings last week, whatever. I got all pissed off. I got oversensitive. I agree with that. In fact, the way Dave calmed me down, this is the honest to God truth. The way he calmed me down was, he didn't try to calm me down. He said, "You're the softest fucking person I've ever met. Quit being a pussy about this." And for some reason that clicked with me. I was like, fuck, okay, yeah, he's right.
that also, from my perspective, so I'm watching the whole thing. Obviously, I'm talking to Dave, talking to Brandon. The minute it happened back in Columbus, I told him right away, what I tell you, Brandon, I was like, it will pass. Dave's going to give you some shit, and then it will pass. And I said, just ignore what he says. If it bothers you, just ignore it, and it will pass. Time will heal all this. I told you that from like literally 2 minutes after it. Brandon, I kept on telling him that. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Last week, after all this, he texts me out of the blue. He goes, how do I deal with this Dave situation? Should I just ignore it? Just like, yes, dude.
I gotta be honest, Brandon. Like, I didn't, not a million years. And people, if anyone's at home, like, how does Dave feel about Brandon? I think you work hard. I think you're good at what you do. If it's what I said in the thing, I'm like, we recircled at the end. I go, if you're honestly this bothered about that text, you should have your agent look for. I don't know what to tell you, because I'm not coming after you out of the blue. It wasn't like I wake up. I didn't even think I'd said anything. I'm pretty isolated here. But if you couldn't see how Dak Prescott, of all people, at a Mississippi State game, holding the tequila high noon, was going to end up with you in some sort of tweet.
It was a slam dunk.
Yeah. It was a volleyball setup that had to be spiked, but I wasn't talking about anything more than high news in that tweet. So
I'm gonna say something in defense of Brandon. Brandon is sometimes maybe a little soft, but he just gets emotional in that moment and then he moves on. Like, I know Brandon pretty well now. He will text someone being like, I'm gonna quit, and then 10 minutes later be fine.
Oh, I didn't think he was going to quit.
He just runs hot and cold.
Yeah, I go through the Rico thing like really fast.
Our Brandon and I's text exchange, which he started by basically trying to quit to like, okay, we're good, was 7 to 10 minutes. It became more weird by the fact we cut it because, again, I didn't really like, and it's what I said to Brandon. And the people are going to say whatever they want. If I rarely will go out of my way to like cause somebody to get that mad or whatever. So he asked, he's like, why was it not in the rundown? It's like, I didn't think you were going to talk about it. It wasn't part of the rundown. I wasn't trying to drag you through it again. But then when you talked about it, people started getting confused on what exactly was happening. I wasn't hiding it, doing anything. And I didn't beg him.
I didn't ask him not to put it in there either. It's old puppet master over here. You say we talked about it on the Yak. We didn't talk about it on the Yak. Dan was like, hey, I heard you've tried to quit.
Yeah,
to be honest, it was such a surreal thing. Yeah, it's like I'm telling Dan as like a friend. It's like, yeah, Walker tried to quit again.
Yeah,
like,
it was.
He like got all bent out of shape.
I'm still here. It's good.
I was walking out of this room and Dave's like, hey, you hear about Walker? I was like, no, what? He's like, tried to quit. I was like, what?
Yeah. But you knew something had happened because I texted you 24 hours earlier just trying to get through it a little bit. It was very fast. I was on the road. I was tired.
Listen, this isn't like the easiest job sometimes. You go through the emotions. The difference is when you go through the emotions, you act like very irrational in the moment, and then you know what I mean? Then you come to and you're like,
sometimes you push a guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You run hot.
And Dave brought that up too. He was like, you're the softest person ever. And I was like, I'm not soft. And he said, remember when you pushed Devlin? I was like,
It was along those lines. It's like if something clicks with like low life Mississippi, you see red and you go like crazy.
Yeah, I didn't like it just then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So that's what it
Brandon,
is.
he just said you're a very hard worker and you're
No, I understand. We're
Listen
cool.
to that
but-
part.
Well, I said that to him in the thing. I go, contract, when he asked, like, that's how you judge things here, not like a fucking Dak Prescott. Like, the fact that was it, the Dak Prescott tweet, I mean, that was like hand to God that he was just spotted there drinking. He's the most notable Mississippi guy, the only guy out of there. He's sitting there front and center with it. It's like, oh, this is perfect.
Well, the funny part is, well, it's not funny, but I tried to beat you to that tweet by 2 days because Dak was behind me. I tried to take a selfie with him at the high noon, but I'm very old and I took a video instead, and it didn't work.
So
That's
what happened with that. That's what happened with that.
And that's that.
And I did give him. I go, and for somebody who's like a that's why I said, I go, why don't you just think of it like WWE? Like, what do you get so mad about? He said that's good advice.
Dave, I had you would have liked the moment because the day after this happened, I was sitting at my desk. I had Rico next to me and then Brandon, and they were like, I was like, so you guys are just the quit boys. And they were like, well, you know, sometimes you need respect. I was like, I gave them both the speech. I was like, you guys aren't going anywhere. You're not going anywhere.
And honestly, that would be my new response, just because I know you like seem rational. Like, next time you do that, I'm just gonna send back a picture of Rico. Like, this is you're being Rico.
Well,
Yeah, so
he did quit. I just asked about quitting.
But it's the same thing every time. It's like, you know, a Dak Prescott tweet, then you come to and you're like, wait, I have the best job in the world. I get called a moron once a month because you did a moronic thing.
I go
Same
through it
with
quickly.
Rico. Like, you guys aren't going anywhere. You're here for life. There's nowhere you can go.
And I had just bought that house in Chicago like 3 hours earlier.
yeah, that's what you said on the thing. You're like, I guess I'm stuck. I just bought a house in Chicago, but I just wrote back good talk. All right.
Where's your scarf, Dave?
It's in the wash. Got to keep it
Interesting.
fresh. Dry cleaning, silk.
First opportunity to wear the scarf, you don't have it on.
I don't want to rub it in the face. You guys made such a spectacle of it last time.
No, I thought you would have worn it to the hockey game. It's cool there.
It was cold there.
Right. Should have worn a scarf.
Well, I had all my Bruins gear. I'm trying to move merch.
Can't make Wayne Gretzky in a scarf.
Wayne, yeah, who knows whether they would ask me for a picture. Maybe I'll text Janet about scarves.
Yeah, ask her.
They were hinting that they want a podcast. I didn't have the guts. I did not have the guts to ask her, like, were you a bookie? Wasn't that like a thing? Wasn't that like a story?
I think it was, yeah.
I was dying to know, like, you a high-powered bookie? Yeah, it was crazy, so.
Yeah. All right. Good talk,
All right.
everyone.
Yeah.
Brandon,
Yeah,
you're not going
everyone's
anywhere,
happy.
buddy.
No.
Yeah.